You're listening to No Filter with Zack Peter, your go-to source for all the latest pop culture and reality TV tea, served fresh all week long. Now, let's dive in. All right, guys, welcome on in. I have two of your favorites in studio today. We're at Spotify taping, well, not live from Spotify because this is a live, well, it's a broadcast, a premiere. People always get mad when they're like, is this live or is this not live? It's not actually live, but we recorded this on Wednesday. So if any breaking news has come out, if Ryan Reynolds has decided to settle on Thursday, we probably missed it. But
yeah, who knows what might happen?
Who knows?
Maybe
the night is young.
Came out of the closet? We could speculate. It could be anything.
The night is young. Yes, we have Dave, Neal, and Donna Bowling, Rush Hour, and Daily Dose of Donna. Now we're having a nice three-way at Spotify.
I feel like I just went through rush hour to get here in LA traffic.
Oh, I was rental car. You know, in the rental car, you can just beat the hell out of it. Just braking. You know, things that you wouldn't do.
You got the insurance.
Yeah, you don't do that to your car, but to a rental car, you abuse
You
it.
didn't care. You don't respect unless you own. Is
No,
that
and
how
this
it works?
thing had dents already, so I was
Like
like, I can get away with some stuff.
He doesn't. You don't respect it. Wow. Already degrading women 1 minute in, and you wonder if Zack Peter likes women or not.
Oh man. So
I love women, for those wondering. I am respectful to the ladies. This is the real, like, Avengers of niche content creators no one cares about, all three of us. This is
I think people
together.
care about us.
Well, we're
We're
getting
caring.
there. We're like,
no, are you getting picked up in like headlines?
I got asked to be a, well, I shouldn't say
No,
what it is.
because I literally
I thought you were saying, "Are you getting picked up?" I was like, I guess so.
No,
Like in bars.
I was telling Donna, like, every day there's like 5 articles that come out about like something that I said. Like, Zack Peter attacks Stephanie McNeil. Zack Peter attacks, who's the guy from fucking Harry Potter?
Isaac.
What?
Isaacs, yes.
Yeah.
Because I said, he was talking about the prosthetic, and so
Oh,
I.
Jason Isaacs.
Yeah, and they're like, Zack Peter calls out Jason Isaacs, Harry Potter
What
stuff.
What did you say about his prosthetic?
He was complaining
Why
about
twice?
I rewound it.
Wow.
he was complaining
And
about
paused.
that he was being asked about. He's like, would you ask
Saw
a
that.
woman if and I was just like, first of all, dude, women have been so degraded in this industry for like ever.
Yeah.
And I was like, from somebody that doesn't need a prosthetic, I appreciate the sentiment. And then that was the quote from somebody that doesn't need a prosthetic. I'm like, can we not compare my dick to his
I
prosthetic?
get his point. His execution was bad, but the point is the dick is the punchline of the joke.
Yeah.
The joke is his daughter, spoiler, sees his dick.
Yeah.
It's like, oh, Dad. So it's like, it's not like we're just talking about your dick because you saw it in some artistic scene. It's because your dick's the punchline. Dicks are funny.
Yeah.
Otherwise, you wouldn't have had it in the scene.
And also, women have had to show their tits and like they've had to be nude in these random scenes in Hollywood forever, the dawn of time. And he's like uncomfortable. I'm like, Howard Stern has completely degraded women when they come on his show and the tits are, and like, it is what it is, right? Like, that's just what the culture was. But I'm like, don't act like women have never been asked about their body parts in general or had to pose nude in a scene or whatever. Like, at least you get to use a prosthetic and people think you have a bigger dick.
Well, we don't have it confirmed that he used a prosthetic. It's just pretty much assumed.
I think for safety reasons, they put something on you.
For safety reasons and for safety of
Just
who?
like, it's
How
like
are
less
they gonna
creepy.
save you?
Well, first of all, I don't mean to be weird, but your dick can change sizes. So
Oh,
just
for continuity.
I mean, imagine it's like you're feeling really good, and then by take 4, you're like a little drafty in here.
And you're like, hold on, I need to get back
I don't
into
know why I
that
had
same
to uncross
mood.
my legs to do that.
Yeah, why did you uncross your
Why your
legs?
dick
Now
changes
I
sizes.
really
His
understand
dick
where
was
Blake
changing
Lively.
sizes right now.
I feel like I'm Blake Lively in that moment
Well, you know,
right
there's
now.
been women that have used hard nipples because, you know, there's scenes where their nipples will go in and out. So it's like you might as well, if you can put something under the bra.
You
that
know, I've
keeps
been with
it
Dave
like
Neal
the-
in real life for 2 days. Both times we're talking about nipples, vulvas, breastfeeding. I mean, this
Yeah.
is a man that
We had a-
brings this upon
We had a
himself.
big vulva conversation.
I mean,
What was the vulva conversation?
watch Daily Dose of Donna.
Okay.
That's
I
all
didn't
I can
realize the vagina, the
Oh,
vulva
here we go.
wasn't directly. I thought when growing up that it was directly under the belly button.
Mm.
Like I thought it was like a soccer goal. Like there it is. I didn't realize it was like.
say. Zach doesn't
Anatomy.
care because this is not
I know.
Zach's. Like Zach, this is not your circus, not your monkeys.
I mean, imagine having never seen something and there's no porn and all that, and you just all of a sudden you're like, where did it go? Because that's not where you thought it would be. Chill out, folks. Don't judge me.
We'll get you a map.
I know
of
now.
The female
I think.
anatomy.
I had a
We'll
kid.
Just break it down.
I figured
for
it
you.
out.
Well, you know, Gwyneth Paltrow didn't need an intimacy coordinator on her movie.
She didn't. She was like, "What is this? Get
Did
this
you
out
see
of
this
me."
story?
But how about like these salty women that have been around the block in Hollywood are so dismissive of the exploitation of younger women. That's like when you're, and again, no offense, it's not, but if you're like a 50-year-old woman, you're like, I don't care if men catcall me, and it's like, yeah, but it's different.
I like being catcalled.
It's nice. But
I like if you like. I tell like, please catcall me, degrade me. Like it boosts my ego. But that's just me. If other people don't like it, then don't
but
do it
you're
to
also
them.
not like the 70 like. What the problem is like when women get sexualized before they're there, and that happens to like the Brooke Shields.
Yeah.
So there's a pendulum that swings, but like I think an intimacy coordinator should be mandatory. Honora didn't have one, and they're like, we were fine. I'm like, have it on set, just for insurance purposes. There'll never be a set that doesn't have it again. I promise you that.
Yeah, not anymore. But
Wait,
the thing
so
is,
oh, sorry.
well, no, I feel like people misunderstand intimacy coordinators though, because they're not like Gwyneth Paltrow said. It wasn't an industry standard. It is relatively new. It's not required by SAG. It's recommended by SAG. But like when a set does have an intimacy coordinator on, they help with the coordination, but they're not like coordinating the lip biting and the lip sucking. Like they're not. It's not as detailed as that, and
But
they're not there for every scene
you need a
either.
SAG rep. You need agents. I mean, I hate to say it and like bring the mood down, but people have been raped this way.
No, yeah,
absolutely. And I know personally people that have worked with A-list stars where shit went down under the covers that was not approved of.
Yeah.
And they can't talk about it because up until like 2 years ago, you just got shunned. You got kicked out off the agents list, Or
So do you find when Gwyneth makes a comment like that on her new movie, she was talking about Timothée Chalamet, how they had lots and lots of sex, lots and lots. I mean, she said lots a few times. But she made it very clear that she didn't have an intimacy coordinator there. You felt like it was kind of a dig that was not necessary. It was almost like
look,
you shouldn't say that.
I'm not writing blogs about it, but it's like
You're not?
Not yet.
Okay.
No.
I feel like on your plane ride back home, you're going to write a blog.
Lively and Baldoni goes away and we are out of content.
Yeah.
That's
How
going to
about
be
that?
his.
The Dave Neal blog.
I think
Substack.
it's like there are so many scenarios where a sex scene is not hunky dory, and it's dark. And I've been on those on like Law and Order where there's these tragic scenes, and it's like you need people there, and then they'll plop in the stand-in and not even tell them what they're doing that day.
Yeah.
It's like you're not paying people enough money to relive or be a part of some crazy thing, and then 25 men are watching in the crew. It's like no one speaks up for themselves in those moments.
Yeah.
Not everyone's Gwyneth Paltrow. They're normally like the ninth character who's playing the hooker. You know what I mean? They don't get a say. And like you can probably know this in casting. Like if someone's difficult, it gets back to you and you're not going to hire them again because you're trying to please the producers. Everyone's working, try to keep that shit silent because everyone's trying to get their next gig.
Well, that's a good point. You said not everyone's Gwyneth Paltrow, not everyone's Blake Lively either, who have that same sort of power on set, and there is that power dynamic.
Yeah. I wonder, like, there's a part of me that feels like what you just said really does make a difference because we always think about like the lead stars, right? We always think about the main stars that have these kind of big, they're top of the call sheet in the sex scenes. But there are sex scenes that are maybe the lead star is the man, and then it's some random one-liner girl.
Yeah, you're Wedding Crashers. There's 20 nude scenes in a row. And I know some people that were in those where they're just tit, 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 tit.
Wow, which tit did you know in that tit, 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 tit? Tit number 4?
My friend Rachel Sterling.
Is she tit
Shout
number 4?
out to Rachel Sterling. She's probably in the top 4. I mean, she's.
Hey, Rachel.
They're just literally. I mean, the glory. I mean, they're throwing women on the bed, just tit, 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 and it's the montage.
And did she not feel comfortable being in a tit number 4?
Bring her in, Rachel. I have no idea.
And the tit.
I have no idea. But I would certainly want someone on set just to make sure that Vince Vaughn doesn't get like, hey, let's rehearse this the night before.
So you're saying
doesn't do like what Ryan Reynolds did to what was her name? The actress.
Uncomfortable.
Yeah,
so I just am going to put my hand back up.
Yeah.
Well, so I guess if you're saying
Olivia
there's the
Wilde?
standard, so you're saying the standard you think should be always have an intimacy coordinator, as you always have a stunt coordinator, as you always have a SAG rep, as you always have an agent, et cetera, so that it never gets to this place again.
Yeah, pay the $300 day rate so you don't have the $600 million.
Hire Mia Shackner.
Keep the camera.
Get her
whatever
name
the
right.
fuck her name
Wait,
is.
why is she everywhere now? Her name has come up
Well, because
in so many articles. Is she the only intimacy coordinator that
No,
speaks?
but she's probably pimping herself out
Do you know
to
who
all
this
of
is?
them.
This one, this
Mia
Mia
Shackner.
Shackter. Shackter.
Same shit.
Well, it's a new job.
But she's the only one that's speaking.
But usually it's because they have somebody that's like approaching all these news outlets, and it's like, we have an intimacy coordinator that's already commented on the story, that knows the story very well, and blah blah blah.
But that's why you were saying how you're getting a lot of press and stuff, and I think it's short form content. Journalists are kind of lazy.
Yeah.
So your short form stuff. I mean, your long form is great too, but they're probably just like, boom, there it is. Reach out to them.
Yeah. Well, it's not even just reach out to me. They just pull my quotes, and then even the
are they hyperlinking to your stuff? Because I hope
They're listen. I'm not mad about it. I'm just saying I literally can't say anything without getting picked up in an article right now.
I was looking into hiring some PR a few months ago for something else, and it was $4,600 a month.
Worth it.
It's not worth it.
No.
And it gets you in like Fortune magazine or whatever.
I feel like
it gets you in Business Insider.
But it's like now you're getting all this crazy press, and there's like documentaries and people filming stuff, and it's like
I know they used my Instagram and that what is it, the one in the UK that they just did,
the documentary that just the other night,
yeah.
right after Mia Shachter. No, I got the full clip, and it's Mia Shachter right into Zack.
And then is it? I thought
it's Steph with the deeds, and then Zack.
Yeah,
none of that stuff to me. None of that stuff makes a difference on YouTube. YouTube's such a personal algorithm that you just don't need it.
Yeah.
It's still good to like booking other things. Like,
yeah.
I had my channel featured in Time magazine. It means nothing.
No.
It didn't get me one new person,
no.
but I still will mention it when I'm doing advertising things featured in Time magazine because it just has
it's more of just the clout.
Yeah.
It's more of just like it adds a layer of credibility to the show. Like that's why, when I have like new friends that are podcasters and they're like, I want to get, because No Filter makes press all the time. Outside of, I'm personally making a lot more press, but the show itself, anytime I have a guest on, always ends up having some sort of like headline. And before we used to send out press releases, and now I don't even have to because there's just organic pickup with the show because it's become its own staple. But I tell people, I'm like, it does nothing. Like you want your show featured in Us Weekly, like it literally will, even if they hyperlink to you or use it does absolutely
but that's why
nothing.
Like I on 3 days notice flew out to do Juicy Scoop because the morning after I recorded it, my sister texted me, who's never watched any of my content ever, going, my friends told me you were on Juicy Scoop. And you go, that's better than Us Weekly.
The best.
The old school media is so dead.
Totally.
So
the
dead.
Best press you can get is just being featured on other people's shows.
Yeah.
Or being on other YouTube
Guesting.
for YouTube.
Yeah.
And that's another thing is like if you want to grow on YouTube, this is for all content creators out there. If you want to grow on YouTube, being on another person's podcast will hardly grow your YouTube at all. I feel like you have to really stay on that medium.
Yeah. I mean, my name on YouTube is like, we speak it out. If I speak it out loud or any name, Justin Baldoni, YouTube transcribes that into its Google machine and then so it's like that is huge. And now YouTube's bigger than Netflix on TV.
It really is.
And like that's where you need to be.
I know.
Comedians are dropping their specials on YouTube because it's like smart. It's got a better chance than if you put it on some,
and
Netflix.
Press, like, and no offense to, I have some publicists that are friends of mine and they listen to my show, and I don't want to really diminish their jobs, but I get a lot of, I'm sure you guys do too, emails from publicists saying like, would you consider blah, blah, blah on your show? And they send like a whole press release and it's so impersonal. I'm like, I probably wouldn't. I'd rather just get to know the person, like their content, and ask them to be on my show just because I like them.
Yeah. Well, you just interviewed Taylor Lorenz.
Oh my gosh. Speaking of.
Speaking of non-existent and extinct.
What do you want to know?
What was your takeaway from the hike that you guys did?
I would go to brunch with her.
Really?
Tomorrow.
Why?
She's a sweetheart. We had a great convo.
She would never have a conversation with me.
Where would you go to brunch with Taylor?
I would take her. I'd go to some danky burrito place.
He would take her to Earth Cafe. That sounds like her vibe.
Yeah, get some gratitude.
Cafe gratitude.
No, listen.
Did she wear a mask on the Zoom?
Okay, hold on. All right, no, because now you guys are gonna make me defend her.
What do you mean?
First of all, she's got
serious question.
She's got long COVID. She's got health issues. I believe it.
No, I thought you were going to say she has long nails or something. I didn't know where you were going with long.
Her COVID is very long. So we had a little spat online.
She's had it from 2020.
One of the rules I have is when you're in a pissing match, learn about it, get out of it. I don't make money on Twitter. We started going at each other. And she said, I'll come on. And I was like, where are you at?
Of course she is. She's a thirst bucket. She'll go on anybody's show.
Well, okay. But me too. Here I am. Not that you're anybody. But seriously, I'm not saying this from a place of moral superiority.
Yeah.
My energy level, I want friends, not enemies.
Yeah.
Her and I, in our conversation, had about 95% of stuff to agree about.
Yeah.
So she's on Blake Lively's side. What does that do to Blake Lively's case? Nothing. You
right.
know? She kind of she didn't backtrack on her story, but she was like, I now understand why it pissed so many people off, because we have a post-election political like issue when you make stuff political when it's not.
Well, that's who made it political. She made it political.
100%.
Exactly. So, but she's allowed to. And I can comment back, and then we can have a long conversation. We were gonna do like 20 minutes. We did 48 minutes, and we kept talking afterwards. And yeah, she's leaning on a different side of the fence than I am, but we're having the same conversation.
I don't even have an issue with her being on the other side of the fence, but I do have an issue with her politicizing it and then demonizing the people that are defending Baldoni about it. That's my issue. So when you say she's allowed to politicize it, sure she can, but then that creates a bigger issue that further divides not just the people in the Blake and Baldoni stuff, but further divides the country. When you have people like her that continue to make everything political and then attack people for their personal beliefs about a pop culture story, that to me is a big issue.
Yeah, I don't want to prosecute her point. Like, people can just watch the whole convo, and I hear what you're saying. But she essentially says the far right is doing a better job covering this than the left. That's what she says.
And she doesn't like that.
Yeah, and I'm a progressive guy who covers it. I just don't have as nearly as big a platform as some of those far right people. But I agree with her. Like, Candace Owens, in my opinion, has some pretty batshit takes. I mean, she's spending all this time covering whether or not the French president's wife is trans. That's insane to me. So like, I can say that's insane and still cover this. And my point, and I push back a ton to Taylor, was like, when I teach my kid about life, I don't want to tell him how to think. I want to give him the skills to think critically. So if people want to watch Candace Owens and then come to my channel, maybe some of my politics will rub off on them.
Yeah.
But we live in a world where like politics and culture are mixed, but I get why people would get triggered by what she said. I'm the type who would rather just have a conversation with her and agree to disagree.
I'm the same way.
But
and
I
reached out
point.
No, but I'm very much the same way. I don't think she would sit at the table and have a conversation with me, but I reached out, as I was sharing with you and as I told Donna, I reached out to Stephanie McNeil, who put out that hit piece in Glamour, and I was like, listen, would you like to have a private off-the-record conversation? Because I think we see this case very differently, and we kind of are putting each other on, like, we're villainizing each other, and like, I would like to have a conversation and maybe we can find some common ground. She completely declined because, I mean,
Did she respond or did she decline?
She responded. Okay. She declined.
Yeah, look, but we have to admit as content creators that we do get kind of thirsty and angry and mobby. Like we do, so I'm always like, let's just be
all
aware.
of us at once, but Zack one-on-one, that's
no,
not mobby or
I'm not saying that at all. I'm saying like, what I tell people is like, I don't speak for like some crazy person on TikTok if they want to like make some crazy thing.
Yeah.
I try to just have a high batting average and keep it fair, in the long run, because things can age poorly if you're like, Blake's an absolutely insane person. I'm like, I'll watch the trial. Yeah, it's not looking good, but I'll watch the trial. Yeah. And so I understand like Stephanie McNeil's point she was trying to make, which was, I'm on salary, I'm not doing clickbaity stuff.
That's
I get
bullshit.
that, but that's the point.
It's total bullshit.
But that's the point she was trying to make, and then people will kind of pull that into their own point, and then they're doing the same thing that she's doing.
It's not a valid point though, because it's completely not based in reality. I just had my friend on who's a reporter at the Daily Mail, and he even said, he's like, she's totally full of shit because what she's accusing us of doing is what her publication does, and it's bullshit for her to say it doesn't matter whether 10 people read her story or 10 million people read her story, because at the end of the day, yes, she is on salary, but there are so many cuts that are happening in traditional media because it's going extinct that, yeah, she's going to fight to get the 10 million on her story.
I agree with your take. I agree with that take that it is a dying medium, so it is going to the sensationalism.
Right.
All of that, absolutely.
It's no better than what they're accusing us of doing.
Look, this can sound really boring, but I think people try the best with the information they have. And I think she and Taylor both think like Taylor's fighting for a cause she believes in. I wanted to go into my interview with her and say, as a guy, I can't quite understand how important the MeToo movement is to her. I want to believe people, and I want to believe women. Right. And we had a really deep conversation about, well, can you do that without throwing out Baldoni? And I think you really can, if you don't get into the hysteria in the mob and you say, all right, I believe Baldoni right now, but let's see this thing go to trial. Let's not interfere. Like, let's not be doing death threats, but those people are going to do it. And I say those people, but the internet is going to internet. I just don't speak for it. Stephanie McNeil's problem is that she probably generalized, here's what the internet's doing. And it's like, there's a lot of good things happening on the internet.
She didn't just generalize it. She doubled down on it twice and then declined to have a private conversation with me, which tells me she's not interested in understanding the other side. There's that resistance that's there. And I think Taylor Lorenz probably had a conversation with you because I think you guys do politically align and she's more comfortable in that realm. Because you see the attacks that she's done on a number of other creators. I mean, somebody
did those creators have like good faith conversations?
I'm sure,
because I don't align with her on everything, but we had a good.
But she knows that but in your Twitter conversations back and forth, you were like, "I'm a progressive guy," and that was immediately like, "Okay, he's safe. He's safe for me because he's not." She talks
to Candace Owens though, like she communicates to these alt-right or right-leaning influencers.
I can guarantee you right now, the only reason she would communicate with them is so she can gather information for probably eventually what I would imagine is to take them down in some capacity for a hit piece. I don't think
it definitely seems like there's a lot of vengeance from
maybe, and she could do one on me, but like I got the 40.
She's not going to take you down on a hit piece. But I'll tell you, people like Taylor Lorenz, and I'm going to generalize, but from what I've seen with Taylor and Stephanie, what they are saying they're trying to do, in my opinion, just like Ryan Reynolds has an opinion.
Yeah.
We can say everything is our opinion now, and that's safe, apparently. Predator is our opinions. Everything is opinions now.
We'll get into that in a sec.
Yes. Yeah, in my opinion.
He's really setting himself up to be called a predator the rest of his life.
In my opinion, that means you're safe. In my opinion, they think they're doing this like altruistic, wonderful thing. We are saving women. We are protecting women. We are protecting Me Too by blaming other women for being these hateful creatures, by blaming the far right for trying to take down women and dismantling Me Too, et cetera, et cetera. And what they are doing is they are dividing the country and they are pushing women against women and they are making women hate other women. And they are truly the reason why there is so much divide.
But you could look at Candace Owens the same way and say she wants to make everything all this or all that, and there's always going to be an issue where an immigrant kills somebody and a trans person.
I'm not saying Candace is perfect by any means
but
either.
I'm just saying I understand if you understand where people are coming from. You just like let the audience decide. People can listen to my convo and go reasonable. I mean, what do you want me to do? Like cancel her? It was just one of those. Not you, but like just the internet. It's like one of those things. Yeah. I think more good came out of that conversation, and I think her article. It's this print medium is just so dead because the conversation's so much better than whatever she wrote.
Did you watch her video on this?
I listened to her.
She did like a 45-minute YouTube that I watched just the other day. It was about the content creators that are dismantling the Me Too movements. It's all about the alt-right. They call it the misogyny slop. It's the misogyny slop movement, and it's all the content creators, all the YouTubers basically that are dismantling.
I just say keep it fair. Like I don't do the devil horns on the thumbnails. Like you got to be like you got to get people to click. And she's like, we talked about it. She's like, I get it. You got to get people to click. And for her, maybe that's by riding the Me Too hashtag. And it's like, if I start judging how she's kind of grinding the meat and making her sausage, then who the hell am I? When like, I'm not on any side. So like, I can't then, it's like, if I'm going to be calling balls and strikes, I got to do a damn good job of trying to be accurate.
Yeah. Well, and that's fair. And I think that they don't try to be accurate because I went through Stephanie McNeil's Glamour article, which was complete. There were a number of inaccuracies in that I pointed out on my YouTube channel. However, my point is they can make the conversation about Blake and Baldoni. But that's not what they do. They turn this into a Me Too conversation. They turn this into a far-right people are grifters taking advantage, which I know is unfair to you because you're not.
Stephanie McNeil definitely went harder.
So did Taylor Lorenz. I was watching her video where she was attacking a number of creators. She was attacking Emily D. Baker, who I happen to know personally, and she was saying that she's clearly Republican, and not because Emily's ever said that she's Republican, but because of clips, sound bites that were clearly taken out of
from her car years ago.
Yeah, that were clipped, likely out of context, very similar to Blake Lively's style and how she likes to flip the narrative on Baldoni. So when you're taking things out of context, not really giving the viewer an opportunity to understand that person's argument, and then you're immediately branding them as one side. Emily, to my knowledge, I have her phone number. I've hung out with her. When I toured in 2022, she was in my show in Nashville. Love Emily. I don't know what her politics are, but I know she's never come out and declared herself a Republican or a right-leaning clean person necessarily. So to brand her that and to say that she did this to Amber Heard during the Depp v. Heard trials, and then now she's, now she's not participating in this case, and people assume maybe it's because of her relationship with Ryan Reynolds. I don't know. I haven't spoken to her about this, and I haven't spoken to her in a minute, but it's an unfair thing that like these reporters should be focused on the actual case. Like, why not investigate Blake Lively? Why not do an article on Blake Lively specifically? And then if you want to cover the division, then cover the division, but talk about where that division between Blake and Baldoni is coming from, and it's not rooted in politics.
Yeah, I mean, I related it this way. It's like the president gets to give a State of the Union, and then the opposing party gets to give a response. And as content creators, we get to respond. And I responded to Taylor and Stephanie McNeil and gave my audience my thoughts, and my channel continues to grow based on a more clear-headed thought on all of that. So I agree with you. I don't know if Taylor Lorenz is a product of traditional media, and I mean, like, you got to be honest. And this is, people have a hard time with this, but I kind of think we're all very similar in the sense that you get in that environment, you justify, your editor starts putting some titles in. Next thing you know, you're just clipping things, and I think most people don't understand. You do what you got to do to survive. Yeah. And maybe now that she's running her own things, I mean, again, I'm not saying it's perfect, and I'm not defending her. I'm just defending the convo. Like with Candace Owens, I think some stuff I'm like, Candace, your takes, these culture war Megyn Kelly things are so ridiculous. Like, Megyn Kelly was a pretty big journalist and a former lawyer who could really cross-examine. Like, she was leading presidential debates, and now she's like, "Boo! The medal ceremony was she's doing like opening ceremony Olympic bullshit, woke stuff, and it's like, you're better than that. Yeah. And so I try to hold these people to some sort of standard, like, cover the interesting stuff, but lay off the easily triggered, like, emotional culture war issues.
To me, my main issue, aside from the politicizing of it, is to make it look like we do. I mean, listen, the reality is we do, to a degree, clickbait. We do have to sell things to the audience to get them to tune into our content, especially with more eyes on it and more creators that are coming in. You want to make sure that you're still delivering on your, visibility with your channel, your podcast, your TikTok, whatever. I get that. And there are people that go a little too far and get a little, I mean, we've had conversations about creators where, like, we think maybe they're taking this too far, or they really,
and then people will bail on them. You need click-through rate, and you need a watch duration.
Which
so it's only
clickbait
if it's like I always tell people, I could get 1 million views today. I could say some crazy stuff in the titles, and then it's not going to deliver.
There's
and
no
then no one shows up tomorrow.
Right.
So it's like, we're a little clicky, but it's like you deliver on it. Yeah. I'll tell you when this is breaking news, I'm putting in the titles and I'll deliver on it, and you just can't play that card every day.
I agree. But my point is, we're currently getting attacked for that, and we're being dismissed as grifters. However, they do the same thing. What we're doing, we're all, like you said, we're all in the same game. I don't have a problem with having Stephanie here and Taylor here and Donna and you and all of us at the same table having a conversation. But my issue is when they're throwing shots at us, saying that we're doing this for the clickbait and we're doing this for the money, but it's like they're doing the same exact thing. So it's the double standard of saying you can't do this because you're a grifter, but I can do this because I have glamour behind me. Yeah. When glamour makes their money the same way we make our money.
I agree. I was just targeted in a $120 million defamation suit, and the lawyers kept on coming after me for making money covering my YouTube. Yeah. And my response was, letting you guys know that I'm making money doing this is the only thing protecting me. The more you want to come after me, the more money I'm going to make to defend myself. And everyone, there's no moral superiority when it comes to work. But YouTube, and you're right, YouTube has that whole like Logan Paul idiots skateboarding around a mall to get clicks, virality aspect to it. But a lot of the best journalistic work is done on YouTube, where people can disassociate from their paycheck. We don't have to worry about big pharma or all these other different things. We can just tell you how we feel, and then the ad stuff works itself out. So I agree. I just look at Stephanie McNeil and I go, I know I'm thriving. I know things are going great. I don't see her as bashing down on me. I see it as like, you're not even getting close to your point. Like, no one's going, boy, she got you in that glamour article. It's like the game's over. Yeah. But I understand. So I'm not trying to shame any other content creators for feeling that way.
I'm sorry. In fact, that glamour article, I almost want to say, and I felt like we even talked that Sunday night about it. Like, I almost want to say that was so like indicative of where the audience really stood, because it was so clear that the majority of the audience stood with the creators.
Yeah.
after that Glamour
Which
article
is why I
came
reached
out.
out to her and I was like, let's have a conversation. I think you're clearly not in touch with the reality. I didn't say that, but in my head, I was like, I think you're clearly disassociated from the reality and you think that people are just hating you because they're trolls and they want to spread a hate on the internet, which, listen, there are trolls and people do spread hate on the internet. We sign up for that every day. I think she's not used to it because she's not on the internet. We get our names, faces, everything. They tear us. But we've had conversations about that, how people will go so extreme on the internet and it can be a very volatile place. We sign up for that. We put ourselves out there every day. But for her to cry and be like, it's just a bunch of trolls rather than listening. And my argument was, it's like, but a lot of the criticism, it's coming from women that feel like you're gaslighting and discounting their experiences, specifically with harassment. Because there are a lot of women that are here and that are defending Baldoni because they don't feel like Blake Lively is an accurate representation for women in the workplace that have suffered harassment. And so when you're telling women that, no, you don't believe Blake, you don't side with Justin because of there's a justice element or because you don't feel like Blake accurately, speaks for you, you're just doing this because you hate women. That's the thing that I think infuriates people. And so when you have people like Taylor Lorenz come out and say that, and then you have somebody like Stephanie McNeil come out and double down on that, and then double down on that on the internet, I understand the outrage because these women are getting tired of people telling them that they just don't like other women when they're not being listened to.
Yeah.
So I get that argument from their side.
I just think their megaphone's not as loud. It's like their megaphone's set to a 3,
But
so
I just wish and I agree, but it's bigger than just them not having that reach. It's that they do have some sort of influence and they are still in a position to influence a portion of the population that I just would love for them to come to the table and try to find some common ground with us, because like you said, I think we can find more of that common ground and we're a lot more alike than not, but like stop taking shots at us and then being too cool to sit at the table with us.
But I agree with you, but we say us as if she's speaking to all of us. I'm not saying I just don't, even if someone is generalizing me, I don't take offense to it. If someone wants to be like, TikTokers are insane, I don't go, yeah, I'm on TikTok, I must be insane. I go, all right, there must be, because we can cherry pick everything, right? Taylor Lorenz, Stephanie McNeil, they can find the hate they're looking for online. Yeah. The internet is ones and zeros, it's binary, so it puts us all in different camps. And I go, look, there are people, like, in good faith, to call balls and strikes, you have to be honest and say there are people that get it wrong. Yeah. You go to the Boston bombing, everyone with a backpack, they're online, doxing people.
Right.
People get it wrong.
Right.
And that's going to happen. And there's plenty of conspiracy theories that are a dead end. So Stephanie McNeil's comment that not everything's CIA, I go, I get it.
Yeah.
There's just a lot of, like, there might be some, like, weird PR stuff happening, but it's not all the confirmation bias that comes from reading into everything.
That's fair. And I think that's a great
because
point.
she goes on TikTok or Instagram and does a 40-second video, that'll never be the answer. Because I just did 48 minutes with Taylor and we could have kept going because it's a complicated conversation.
Right.
So their medium exposes the ludicrousy because there's no nuance to it.
Yeah.
But let me ask you a question. Like, does Taylor, do any of these people that are so intently sure that they do not feel like they are seeing Justin Baldoni's side the way that we see it, who have sat and read the documents over and over, are they not reading it? Are they not seeing it? Did they look at Ryan Reynolds' motion to dismiss yesterday and say something feels off here? I mean, I seriously wonder, like, how are we all so opposite on the side?
I feel that way with my family that thinks different politically than I do.
Sure.
But
Politics
everyone comes with, and that's why I say, and again, it's boring.
Yeah.
Everyone's trying their best.
Yeah.
Someone, like I lost someone, there was someone in my life that was really turned off by some of my content. But they also were a survivor.
It had to be about the vulva.
They were a survivor of an assault.
Yeah.
And I can't even begin to know what they went through hearing me defend someone who was innocent, because it somehow might have looked like or resembled a case where there was a guy that was guilty.
Right.
So, like, this is just a hot topic, and this is why the cases are so big, like the Johnny and Amber, because you could look back at Johnny and Amber and go, Johnny was a drunk. Maybe there was some horrible fighting. Maybe she started it. Maybe she threw something at him, but it clearly wasn't, but then again, was there the evidence? Yeah. So Justin might have been like holding on to that kiss too long or doing something, but you don't turn his life upside down if he was a shitty director and he's on the spectrum.
Yeah. And what I appreciate about what you're saying in this is that you're at least willing to listen and have that, maybe we have a different perspective, but we can still respect each other at the end of the day. I don't feel like that's being met from
on the other
these reporters.
side.
Exactly. And that's the point that I'm making. And my issue is not that I take it personally as if it's an attack on me, but I do take issue with them attacking creators because I'm sitting here with two other very talented, hardworking creators. And so I don't like when people try to diminish or reduce what we do in any type of way. And I do take that personal because I know what creators do. I know that they work 10 times harder to fight for a seat at the table that these women get access to because Glamour bought them a seat at that table. Right now, we barely have gotten a fold-up chair at the table that we have to share, and we circle in and out, and when one of us gets to sit in that seat, we champion each other and we clap for each other because we know that an opportunity for one of us ultimately opens the door wider for an opportunity for all of us. And I think it's coming from this place of maybe it's insecurity. I know I took shots at Stephanie McNeil by saying she's just insecure that, you know, she got a degree and racked up student loan debt and now she lost the plot because the traditional journalism is not where it's at. And people like Donna and I, who don't have a formal journalism degree, can go on the internet and create a platform and build loyalty within the audience. So I do take issue with them taking shots at the creators collectively because I know that there are many hardworking people that had to work 10 times harder in order to build what they have. That Stephanie McNeil and her 500 views on her Instagram account, she's never going to know what that's like until she's actually in the mud of it. So I want them to stop discrediting us.
I nominate you for the president of the Creators Union.
I think we're pretty similar on this. I just like I'm like you guys. I'm a hardworking content creator who I've come from that. I mean,
depends on the day.
This week I'm just dead. I'm gonna literally be. I got 2 shows tonight and tomorrow night in Nashville. 2 shows after my red eye. I'm literally uploading tomorrow's video with this Wi-Fi because then I'm so burnt out.
You work a lot. No, you're constantly. There's a new Dave Neal video.
Because this isn't even my main job, you know. But anyway,
I'm sorry. What is your DoorDash? I mean, what else are you doing?
Yeah, I'm an Uber driver. I'm driving
Zack
home after this. 5 stars. I'm a comedian. I gotta.
What if you had to choose one?
Comedy is. I mean, it doesn't pay as much, but that's. This is fuck this shit.
Oh, okay, guys. He doesn't care about you.
No, I mean, it's like, would you rather have like stand-up comedies like cocaine? Yeah. It is like.
I wouldn't know. I've never done it.
Me neither. But it's like
you've used to do cocaine.
No, stand up.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. What's better than that? It's sexy. It's live. This is all fine. It's just.
Well, that's why I love doing live tours because you have the live stand up aspect and the podcast aspect. So
but anyway, so like I said before, best rule in the world if you're in a relationship is when you figure out you're in a pissing match, get out. Stephanie McNeil she's getting it. Her DM, she's a bad mom. She's getting it. Maybe she will talk in 2 weeks. You know, she messed up. But you got to admit, like everyone comes at it with their own thing. Yeah. I'm like you. You got some bitterness. I do too. Like fuck them.
Yeah.
Like we did this shit on our own, brick by brick.
Yeah.
We don't get verified because of glamour and all that bullshit.
Yeah.
I'm with you on that. I just think like, you know, maybe the generalizing is a bad idea, but like. Maybe, you know, if you're out here thriving and you're crushing it like you guys are, she's talking about like the wackadoodles because people do get it wrong.
No, she's talking about the mommy sleuth. That's another thing that you guys don't take into account. And Zack has definitely taken it on for himself, but as a woman, that's another thing that, you know, you guys aren't even saying
here. Candace's line though, you know, that's where it's like
sure, but why go after women? Specifically in a female-driven,
especially with so many women
in a feminist argument.
It's an odd choice.
And I made the argument: the percentage of mothers that have sons. You know, most women have 1.8 kids. What's the average? Like
I only have 1.8 kids.
You got like 1.8. That's the average, right?
I'm still waiting for that 0.2.
If 50% are men, you're gonna have traditionally over 1 male son.
Yeah.
And you change your tune when you see if someone could possibly become the kid who gets thrown into something and they're just a good kid.
Yeah.
But we don't know if that's the case. I did get Taylor to say we should just pump the brakes until this thing goes to trial. And I think that's like have all these great conversations. But I agree with you. Like it sucks. It sucks to see that Glamour article. I just take my personal ego out and I go, another video from me. Like and it sucks. I get it. Yeah. But like it doesn't make less traffic. No matter what they do, it's only going to help your channel. It really is. Yeah. Even the Business Insider piece, which I don't think they're going to write.
I think he's running scared.
Yeah, I think he's not going to run that article.
No, after this, he's not doing it.
We all agreed to do it, and we all
This would be great content for him
we all knew we were about to get smeared, and we all agreed to do it because we go, you know what? You'll tear me to shreds, and I'll get my Patreon will double in size.
Yeah.
And because I believe critical thinking still exists. People might be choking on themselves. I believe in it. And I think no matter what Taylor said in my conversation, I believe what I said and I listened to her. And if every amount of normal human contact was a nice long walk through the park, you wouldn't have this online fighting. It's that we are diluted onto words on Glamour's blog in headlines. We're diluted to 40-second TikToks. And the nuance of being a human is a conversation around the campfire that doesn't end in some metaphorical fistfight. So the second I was in a pissing match with Taylor, where I came at her and she had a good clapback. Like I'm not going to win that fight. And I'm also not monetizing it. Let's go talk.
I can't wait to watch this and take it apart on my show.
I'm going to take apart your taking apart of it.
Let's just keep taking it apart. Let's create 10 videos over your one video.
I will get shit. And again, not from you guys or give me shit, whatever. But it's a good faith conversation. I believe, and you're saying it's only because she aligns with me politically. Maybe. But I believe she's trying the best. And I think she believes I'm trying the best. And maybe she's dunked on people that dunked on her. And it's who started this, So it's she's a normal person. If you weren't reading her headlines online, she'd be at a Trader Joe's standing next to you. You'd smile to each other. And just I try to treat people we got to sit at the Thanksgiving dinner together after this is all said and done. Yeah. And I feel like quite honestly, I might be the last person in this country that's trying to piece it back together.
No, Zack and I are actually so incredibly like this. Shockingly, it's not us.
Yeah,
I'm not blaming you guys.
No.
I'm saying there's enough hours in the day to make content that's nuanced that we don't have to survive off of the whole dunking on somebody. And maybe content creators will get mad at what I'm saying. They can do whatever they want. Yeah. And someone else can respond. I just think the energy of
Would Taylor Lorenz sit down on your show?
I doubt it.
That would be very important.
$10 she would.
That would be very important. That would be a good sample size or sample audience to know.
Listen,
if she would sit down
she'll sit with you. She'll sit on YouTube and criticize Emily D. Baker. She'll go on So Bad It's Good with Ryan Bailey.
Right now
do it.
Let's get
Meaning, would she go on someone who was incredibly liberal?
Traditionally that's been her MO.
Yeah.
And listen, I'm not saying
Do you think she knows who Zack is?
She knows who I am. Okay. She may downplay it, but she knows who I am.
She was late yesterday.
Oh, what does that say? Does she respect you?
She was coming from Malibu, though, so you were late.
It was
you were late, too.
You were late.
I was late, yeah. Wait, today?
No, to the one the other day.
Was I?
Yeah.
All right.
Why is she coming from Malibu?
I don't know.
I don't have any cell service.
Oh yeah, there's no cell service.
Right, I'll text her. Put it in the notes if she says yes or not.
Convenient.
Anyway,
but there is no service when the door's closed.
It proves my point, though, that I was I hope this is good faith. And when she was a little late, I was texting my wife. I'm maybe she set me up and was just wasting my time. No, she was oh, I'm so sorry. She was a normal person.
Yeah, she is a normal person, and
I blame the medium. I blame the medium and the culture that comes from that.
Yeah, they went for a walk. They went for a hike.
An hour-long walk. And my audio's so good. It was super windy. I had the ruffle.
Where'd you guys go, Runyon?
Silver Lake, just around the.
Was there a mask or not?
No mask.
No, there was no mask. I saw the footage.
She said she wears masks, and look, my wife wears a mask. My son, doesn't have his measles shot yet, so people wear masks.
But does she? I thought she wears a mask everywhere.
She has an autoimmune disease.
No, I know, but I thought she would wear a mask even hiking.
I think she said inside she'd wear a mask.
I thought even outside.
But you're saying it like she's a crazy.
No,
masker.
She said that people that don't wear masks are raw dogging the air.
Well, maybe, and again, we talked a little bit about that, where she was she felt lied to by the Democratic Party about getting COVID because she thought she had the vaccine and she was fine. So she pushed. She was willing to push back.
She yelled at people for not getting it,
and a lot of people did. And I'm all about let's just move forward because we have the receipts of how everyone's acted and we've all become insane. Mm-hmm. Yeah. And a lot of my wife has Lyme disease, so I get so personal when people go, "Oh, you don't need a mask." I'm like, you don't know what she needs a mask for. Her father has a lung issue. She doesn't, it's to the compassion people have about not wanting to bring diseases into other people's houses is not for anyone else to judge, but the mask was such a visible political issue. And I get it. It's ridiculous to wear a mask if you go on a jog. I get it. But what's the harm if someone's a little scared about this, whatever.
Well, the mask thing is also relatively new. People had people had, there wasn't this fear that I think is now instilled with masks that have now become very virtue signally prior to, it wasn't anything that was a thing prior to 2020.
Eastern culture is good. If they're sick, they put a mask on. They're more considerate. We are not. If someone's sick, they go, "Oh, it's allergies." And next thing you know, my baby's sick and I don't get a good night's sleep because some asshole,
Your baby will be sick for the next every month for the rest of their lives.
If they're going to be sick, like still take decent preventative measures, like don't bring your kid to school and get the whole school. You know what I mean? Yeah. So I grew up not missing one day of school for 12 years because my mom was a single mom and I went to school, and that's not the healthiest thing to do, you know? So anyway, my point is like,
it's because of you that I got sick.
Probably, yeah.
Thanks.
So yes, I mean,
thanks, Dave.
But so she's got an autoimmune disease. Like I don't know what her deal is, but like, you know, she was hospitalized because of
I have no problem with people wearing masks. I have no problem, but don't judge other people for not wearing a mask.
But I think during the pandemic, I'm willing to.
No, in 2024 when she did.
Well, I don't. I mean, look, I'm not her spokesperson.
I'll show you the article.
Anyway,
my cultural point is like, let's just do a blanket pardon of people and just move forward, because we all had to take that. Was like we're all broken from the international order that came from the last 5 years.
Yeah,
real, we really are.
The pendulum swung too far. We can all agree on that. People got in trouble that might have had more nuance. Now we live in a world where we can have that conversation and try to just like iron it out. But the pendulum's still kind of swinging, you know, it's still swinging.
I hear that argument, but my only frustration, and I guess this is my own ego that I need to get over, is it's like, people want to move on so fast and be like, well, we didn't know any better. Oh, it's fine. Like they just want to leave it in the past without realizing there were other people on the other side of that really had to take the reckoning from that.
Totally.
And that's kind of like what we're going through again with this content creator thing. And there are people like Taylor Lorenz, and I want to move on from her at some point because I don't want this whole episode to be dedicated to her, but she's just an example of those types of people. And, you know, I hear the argument of like, let's just move on. And I'm always willing to move on and to find common ground with people, but that doesn't mean that I don't also still get frustrated when those same people continue their same pattern of behavior, but they just change how they want to police other people. And then they want to move on.
But we've been in these echo chambers. I agree with you. We've been in these echo chambers. It's like, who's going to put the weapon down first and say, I'll talk to you? And I'm not saying you guys are good. I'm not saying you don't do this. I just think you'd get out of a convo with her and you'd be like, all right. And you guys text me, how was it? It was everything I thought it would be, a normal conversation where I go, I kind of disagree. And since we're not trying to dunk on each other, who cares? The internet provides the audience, and that makes the ego go, I better dunk on you now. And you know what I did when she called me out? I said, you know what, Taylor, you're right. I called you a wacko. I'm sorry. And that was the last tweet I had with her, and then we talked for 50 minutes. And everybody wins. I think there's more of that in the world than not. People will call me naive, and I choose to live in a friendly universe. But I do agree, it sucks that people were like, I don't know about this, and they got shunned. It sucks that people are afraid to take the vaccine dosage and even have conversations about things. The conversation should happen. I totally agree. But it's people like her that prevent that conversation from happening, because I've always been willing, not with that conversation specifically, but with any conversation, as I said, with Stephanie McNeil, I have extended that olive branch again and again and again to people like that, and they continue to do these things where they demonize people. Because if anything, if we look at Blake and Baldoni, we're seeing people from all political spectrums, all backgrounds, all different countries right now that are all kind of uniting. I mean, I don't think you would ever typically find yourself on the side with Candace Owens, and you guys are basically sitting, you know, right next to each other fighting for Baldoni here. And I don't think we would have, and a lot of us would have expected. Take my wins like free speech. Was it Khalil? I can't remember his first name. The guy who was just deported on free speech issues. Like Candace Owens is criticizing Trump. I'll take that win. I take it where I can get it. I'm a on the buffet line, anti sort of like.
Oh my gosh!
Clump us all
together. We can't go there. We cannot have that conversation. I will.
I'm a free speech advocate. We live in this country where I believe in free speech.
We didn't.
I know. Wow. It's crazy. But that's like it's like when you're calling balls and strikes. You got to call them. I got to call it right here so that you believe me on the next one. And so I'll take that with. And again, you know, I understand. But there was another point I was trying to make with that, which is that they are that way. But like you're in the clear majority, you're winning, and that's dying out. And it's like getting mad at the thing that's just whimpering off and dying, and that's the cultural war of like mainstream media. New York Times already told on themselves, multiple times, and they still have some credibility. Like it still sucks if they're gonna write a smear piece about me. It's gonna suck, but like not like it would have 15 years ago.
That's true.
But I hear you. Look. Comics battle this all the time. With word culture and what's said and old things coming up, and what has been proven is people are reasonable. And people in this case have been reasonable, and they're supporting your opinions. I'll get blasted for trying to have a nuanced take with someone that I might disagree with, but I'm putting that weapon down. So maybe Stephanie will talk to you. Honestly, have some faith.
Listen, I will
circle back in 2 weeks.
Will stay. I will circle. Well, I don't. I will. The olive branch was extended. I will not reach out again. But if they have a change in tone, I'm always willing to have that.
If Taylor doesn't, I'm buying you lunch. If Taylor doesn't do your podcast within the next 10 days.
Okay.
I'm just putting that out there. That trust me.
If you want her.
I mean, listen, I would be a hypocrite if I would turn her down, at this point.
Hear what she has to say. And she might be like, wow, these YouTubers aren't that bad. Like, let's have more conversations with people we disagree with. Okay, hey, maybe we can all go back to Thanksgiving and enjoy our families again.
First Taylor Lorenz and then Nick Viall.
I have more faith in Taylor than Nick.
Yeah, he's a little dense.
That's not happening. He's so much so that he's not even talking about this, and he's losing a lot of money. Because of his own pride.
Okay, so to wrap it up, because I know you do have to head out, and we're already hitting your hard out time.
Did I get kicked out on the Candace Owens endorsement?
No. You said you had to be out by 3:45. Do you think that Blake and Ryan will take this to trial?
No.
After Ryan's double downing on,
I think it settles August 12th.
Before depositions,
or sometime before the depositions.
Yeah.
Oh, I initially said July 3rd. Right, the day before 4th of July. We'll cover it, but a lot of people won't. It's a long time to.
But him doubling down on the Predator thing, I think, is wild.
Yeah, and he's allowed to. I think they're going to go hard on that.
Yeah.
But I mean, I prefer to go to trial. I prefer for him to exonerate himself, or again, even though I don't think it's going to come, be open to the fact that some new footage comes out. I mean, it would have come out already, but I yesterday heard from people from both camps organically coming to me.
Yeah.
I mentioned before, like one of Justin's close friends ran into me, never met him, and he was like, "Dude, thank you. So to you guys, and to you two specifically, you have people that it matters.
Yeah.
Your coverage matters. These are wives and sons and daughters that like it means a lot, and that's all you can do. And you don't always know who's listening, but they're out there.
Yeah. What do you think? Trial or settlement?
I think they're going all the way. At this point, I don't see any other way.
I think I was convinced that they would buckle this summer, but I think the more they keep going hard and double downing on things, it really seems like they want to take this all the way. I mean, similar to Amber Heard, who's like, I'm going to fight this all the way.
I don't see why he would do what he did yesterday without wanting to go all the way.
But as rich as they are, there's someone richer that might say, settle this thing.
Yeah.
And that might be investors if his thing goes public. If he becomes a billionaire.
Taylor Swift. Unless his motion to dismiss was a test of the audience. Because I was listening to Ask Two Lawyers, and they were saying that.
Did you watch their covering?
Yeah.
They were laughing. They were dying.
They were laughing, but they made a really good point about the quotes that they pull from Justin to prove that he's a predator are not really admissible in this case.
Yes.
Because they weren't from the amended complaint. So what it appears that, or what they think Reynolds was trying to do was play to the audience, play to the public to make it seem, which yes, makes sense. But my point is, I think they're doing a lot of these audience pulling to test to see what people's reactions are. And I think maybe they will settle, because I think they're going to see that it's not landing regardless of what they're throwing out. Like the audience is not, if anything, it's only making it worse for them publicly, because they are very in tune with public perception.
And today I wasn't spending so much time online, but I was thinking to myself, like, what is the audience reaction? Because sometimes I'm like, am I in an echo chamber?
Yeah.
I'm following you. I'm following just like a few creators. What are people saying about this other than like our little circle? Are people saying like, go Ryan? Yes, Ryan out there. I don't see anyone saying anything other than what we're saying, which is like, this is embarrassing.
No, they're either on Justin's side or they're just not paying attention. Like
we're going to wait to see it play out.
And they're going to realize that they could do a $100 million settlement and it's not going to dent his box office. People don't believe me on this, but like,
no, he's not going to be affected. His career is going to be fine.
Yeah.
He has Marvel, and the Marvel fans will show up for him regardless. They don't give a shit about
What do you think Hollywood's saying? Like his peers. We know that his peers are following this case and they're obsessed with it. You know that.
Yeah, well, that's why none of them pose for photos with them at SNL.
Of course, they're dying over
that's
it.
Why
and half
Anna
of them
Kendrick
are following
wants nothing
us.
To do with...
Half of them are following us on their Finstas.
Yeah.
And they're dying over it.
Well, some of them are like publicly following us
on their real accounts. Yeah,
it's like if you've ever had an issue, you learn who your friends are, who calls you the next day, and like Hollywood, at that level, everyone's protecting their own brand and staying away from it, which it's like that's just shitty.
Yeah,
I wonder who's saying like, "Go Ryan, you got this, man. I know you got this."
I really don't think
Brandon Sklenar.
Yeah, literally.
I don't blame him either. It's like, what are you gonna do? He knows like Justin's fighting his own thing.
He and Colleen Hoover are just like off on Xanax land.
Did you see her video?
Yeah, I sent it to you guys last night.
Oh,
remember?
yeah.
Right before it went.
She posted. She responded to me this morning.
Stop it! What did she say?
She posted on her story being like, if you think this is disturbing, this isn't even the most disturbing thing I've ever done on
she
whatever.
Thinks it's funny.
She thought well, now she's trolling and she keeps posting about Pepsi. She thinks that we were calling her out for drinking Pepsi, but I'm like, no. Well, did you see the timestamp of when the video was posted?
It was early in the morning.
Like 7:30 in the morning.
If that were my mom, it would be like, I wouldn't just call my mom. I'd call everyone else to be like, go check the pill cabinet. Is she okay?
Yeah.
It looked like when someone sent it to me before I sent it to you guys, I said, she seems drunk.
Yeah.
I was going to go more with something pilly.
Yeah, it's a little heavier. I think it's a little heavier than alcohol, or it could be a combo.
And she's like, this is the weirdest thing that's ever happened to my brain.
It ends with Percocet.
What?
All right. Daily Dose of Donna, Rush Hour with Dave Neal. Anything else you want to?
Thanks for having me. I really appreciate doing this live. This is so much better.
In person, I know.
Yeah, right?
It's great.
I know. It's really fun.
Anything else you want to drive people to before we wrap?
Someone drive me back to Sherman Oaks. I don't want to sit in that
I love your
traffic.
studio. Oh, you got that room. Going into her studio space.
It was fun. Well, that's not where I do my normal show. That's just where, it's my husband's spot, F22. You've never been there. I'll get you over there.
They're a cute family.
Yeah, we're a cute family. We have like a cute little vibe.
You need like a family podcast.
We should do a little family. Because Dylan was there too. Lance is like
Did Dylan think I was a loser or cool? I'm at that age where I'm not cool anymore.
He thinks you're cool. He thinks you're cool. I mean, I haven't asked him, but he hasn't talked about you.
Well, doesn't the teacher, one of his teachers or someone watch?
Oh yeah, one of my son's teachers said he asked her something, and she was like, "Well, I've been busy. I've been watching Zack and Donna on their shows." So when my son's teachers are watching us, that's
parent-teacher conference is going to hit differently.
They're like, "So forget your kid. What's going on with Baldoni?"
People ask me on the streets about that
all the time in the market.
I'm like, I don't get any money talking live.
Stop! You're a grifter.
I'm a grifter. Yeah, on YouTube. Yeah, I got to film it if I want to talk to someone for 20 minutes.
You're like, hold on, let's do a cameo.
All right, guys. Thank you for coming. Thank you
Zack.
for being on the show. Thank you for fighting with me.
Oh, that's not a fight. That's love.
I know.
I'm gonna fight with him about something that we'll talk about later.
Oh boy, I'm in trouble.
Mom's gotten mad at you. All right. Thank you guys for tuning in. Love you. Appreciate you. Subscribe, hit the like button, leave a comment below. If you're watching this on Apple, or listening to this on Apple, then leave a nice Apple Podcast review. Go support Rush Hour, go support Daily Dose of Donna, and I will talk to you next week. Bye.